I've made so many discoveries in magnetism that I had yet to realize that I'd made a video about this. If you bear with me, I'm going to explain to you and then demonstrate to you one of the biggest secrets of current humanity when it comes to explaining the mechanics of the universe, a la redshift and blue shift. I don't know how much you know about redshift or blue shift. Stars that are moving away from us, relatively so, they are shifted towards the red end of the spectrum. Stars that are moving towards us, they are shifted towards the blue end of the spectrum. Now, hitherto, this has been explained with GR and QM, general relativity and quantum mechanics. But I'm about to show you and explain to you that Mother Nature, she has no idea, nor has she ever heard of general relativity and quantum mechanics. She only knows inertia and magnetism. Here we have a magnet, say 3/4-inch cylinder magnet. Here we have my buddy's invention, the ferrocell, which is inside a micron thin layer of special solution ringed by white light LEDs. I'm about to show you on a very small scale, which no one has ever seen before in any video ever. No one's ever seen redshift at a level like this moving very slowly. Let's say 1 mile an hour. I'm going to show you redshift and blue shift. But I'm going to show you relative disparity. Now, as I've already talked about in my book, and I mentioned before, I place the magnet underneath the ferrocell. Let me turn the lights off so you can see better underneath the ferrocell. If I place the magnet right here, I know simply by looking underneath this ferrocell, since the magnet is static and is static relative to the lights over here, but it doesn't matter how I orientate it. This side of the magnet is bluish in color. It's green, but it's bluish, and over here it's reddish. We have a phase disparity, and this is also proof of why my seed experiments work this way. We have EM retardation. That's technically what it's called, electromagnetic retardation. I know that this is the North Pole because it has a ratio of 1 to 5. We have compression here and rarefaction here. Compression, the blue end of the spectrum, is more bluish. It's greenish blue, but it's still blue. At a ratio of 5, 1.618, 033, etc., etc., and a ratio of 1 over here. Now this is static. I don't know if you know how an AC generator works, but it works, and this is Tesla's invention, of course, but an AC generator works exactly the same. Now this is the plane of inertia. By the way, this is one pole of the magnet, this is the other pole. But a magnet doesn't have poles, as I've explained many times. Mother Nature does not have poles. She has the inverse of counter space. The inverse of inertia is force and motion. These are force and motions. See, Mother Nature does not draw a line like us humans. She doesn't draw a line like here, here. Mother Nature only knows how to draw a line like this. Here, here, here. That is polarity. Polarity is only the inverse of inertia. The inverse of counter space, force and motion. The creation of space. Space is nothing. Space is literally the absence of inertia. It is literally the wake front as left behind from the release of inertia, as magnetism reciprocates, which is the dielectric field from one quote-unquote pole to the other. So here we're able to see the phase shift, the static phase shift, which I've already explained in the 3rd edition of Magnetism. Now we're talking about stars that are moving endless millions of miles per second. How on earth could I show you that phase shift, the disparity of motion, is purely electrical? Was technically magnetic and dielectric, but is purely electrical in nature. It is simply based upon phase disparity. Now, if this were an AC motor, I don't know if most of you know how an AC motor works, we'd actually have our copper windings around here. We'd have internal motor, which is hooked to a crankshaft. Let's say water's turning the crankshaft, and it's turning the magnet, and this magnet is turning. The only thing an AC motor is, and listen closely, is an inside-out magnet. We have the plane of inertia on the outside, and we have the magnetism on the inside. Obviously, Mother Nature does not work that way. This is how we generate electricity. The entire world generates electricity off the premise of Nikola Tesla's invention that such an AC generator, a power generator, is in its very simplistic essence a magnet turned inside out. A magnet, we have the plane of inertia at the very dead center. The opposite, or the inverse of force and motion, centrifugal divergence, we have the plane of rest of inertia. If you're able to put two magnets together and place a Gauss meter at the center of those two magnets, it would register no magnetism. Well, that doesn't make any sense. but it's an absolute undeniable fact. The center of everything, there is not that which is opposite to the center. At the center of gravity, the center of the Earth, there's no gravity. At the center of a magnet, there's absolutely no magnetism. This is exactly what it is. Force and motion, inertia and acceleration. How does this explain redshift and blueshift? EM retardation, the disparity of motion. Here we have zero motion and we have a phase shift, a blue phase shift and a red shift, which exists at a ratio of 5 to 1 or 1 to 5, depending on how you look at it, which is actually an egg shape. It's a perfect egg shape. If you're able to cut an egg, dissect it in half, we'd have the pointy tip up here, which exists at a volume, a ratio of 1, and down here the larger, fatter section of the egg, which exists at a ratio of 5, so 5 to 1, which together is 5 squared, which is 2.1618, so on and so forth. So, how am I able to simulate on this tiny, tiny little scale, moving about 1 mile an hour, stellar redshift and blueshift? The only thing I have to shift is this magnet, relative to the lights here. Let's say I'm an observer on a planet over here, and this is a star. Let's say I'm another observer on the opposite end over here. Let's recreate redshift and blueshift. Remember now, this is red and this is blue. But how can I shift that? Relative motion to the disparity of the electricity, i.e. light, which is a coaxial circuit, transverse electrical, magnetic, longitudinal dielectric. Let's show you phase shift. Now look closely and I'll explain it. You see how this is blue now? As it was approaching, it went to blue shift. If I move it away, let's just look at this one pole only. Let's ignore this pole over here, okay? You notice that this red shifted now? Let me move this closer to a person over here. Let's say there's a person on a little planet over here, and this is a star. Okay, now it's red shifted. Let's move the star closer to this person over here. You see how this blue shifted? Let's move it away and watch this blue, which is bluish green, but it's still blue shifted, turn to red. Red shift. Blue shift. We're only looking at this pole over here. A second. I think I had a little power outage there. There we go. Blue shift, red shift. Red shift, moving away from this relative point. Now let's take a look. Let me check my power connection here. Let's take a look at the other pole. Hold on a second. There we go. Sorry about that. Let's take a look at the other pole over here on the right side. Let's orientate my magnet exactly. Okay, let's wait for it to appear. There we go. Let's take only a look at this. Blue shift relative to this person over here. Let's say this point over here. Blue shift, as it moves away relative to this point, we have red shift. You notice how it shifted to the red? Now watch it shift again. Remember, only looking at this pole on the right side of my finger. Okay? Red shift, blue shift. Red shift, blue shift. Inverse to the other pole. Look closely. Nothing has changed other than disparity of EM retardation. It has nothing to do with space, has nothing to do with time. It is EM phase shift disparity, or EM retardation. This is also the differential that is programmed into every global positioning satellite relative to its motion. This has nothing to do with Einstein, has nothing to do with general relativity, and has nothing to do with quantum mechanics. The universe is purely dielectric and magnetic. If you want to think of it as electrical, that's fine. Electricity is 5 times psi, Q and Planck of electrification. Electricity is a hybrid. That which we call gravity is nothing other than incoherent dielectric acceleration, or increasing inertia, centripetal convergence, or that which we call magnetic attraction. They're one and the exact same thing. So what you're looking at here is nothing to do with space or time. Everything in the universe is purely electrical. Space is not anything that acts on anything. Tesla said this. He said it many times. This is also why Tesla ever called Einstein a fuzzy-haired crackpot, for the reification of nothing, i.e. space, as that which acted upon things, which is the premise of GR and QM, general relativity and quantum mechanics. But the universe does not work that way. The universe is purely electrical, and electrical only. Magnetic, dielectric, centripetal convergence, centrifugal divergence, and here we have the magnet, which is the reciprocating precessional hyperboloid that defines the simplest nature of the entire universe, the plane of inertia, and we have the disparity of polarity. which exists at a phase shift of phi to 1, or phi squared together, 2.618033, so on and so forth. But relative motion to a point has nothing to do with space or time. It is called electromagnetic retardation. This is the exact same way. Instead of this motion, in an AC generator, what we're actually getting is this motion, where the magnet is turning and turning, and we have copper windings around here. The only difference between me showing you the phase shift this way, and how an AC motor works, which is like this — I can't actually make this thing spin and spin and spin — is we have the plane of inertia outside here, and we have the magnet on the inside. An AC motor, in its most simplex definition, is an inside-out magnet. And Mother Nature does not work that way. She doesn't like to work that way. But by turning this magnet relative to a plane of inertia, the thousands and thousands of copper windings that make up an AC motor. The magnet is spun via water, hydroelectric, nuclear, off of steam. It doesn't matter what turns this magnet inside the copper coil. It's creating a phase disparity, which equals E, electricity. All electricity in the entire world runs off the premise of Nikola Tesla's invention, which in its most simplest form, if Mother Nature was a chick and she were to look at the most simple thing that powers the entire world, an AC generator invented by Nikola Tesla, she would declare that as an inside-out magnet. She's taken the plane of inertia and brought it out here and placed the magnet right in the center, which is exactly how it works. But back to redshift and blue shift. I'm showing you redshift and blue shift at a rate of 1 mile an hour, which no one has ever seen before. Because the only way to show this is with my buddy's invention, the ferrocell. I predicted this too before I ever discovered the ferrocell existed. But this is the first time anybody on Earth has ever seen this. Ever. Period. No one's ever seen this before. Redshift and blue shift that we typically think of on the order of magnitudes of stars moving at endless millions and millions of miles a second can be replicated here in my hand, showing you that redshift and blue shift is phase disparity of relative induction. That seems like a mouthful, but it's really, really, really simple. We're talking about recreating this phase shift that exists on a magnet that I'm able to see at a ratio of phi to 1, and recreating that and shifting it at the basis of the magnet due to relative motion of the field perturbation, i.e. the light that is feeding it. You're seeing phase shift right here. You can see this turn from blue to red as I move it, and vice versa on the other side. Look, you are seeing phase shift. Doesn't matter how I turn it, it's going to be the same. And the only thing an AC generator is this spinning around inside the plane of inertia. But we're talking about redshift and blue shift here, and explaining it in very simple terms. There's someone else, a very, very, very intelligent man. I think he held 2 doctorate degrees. He never discovered this, but he simply said, in a very kind manner, that there's Dr. Oleg D. Jefimenko, that GR and QM was nonsense, except he said it in a very, very scientific way. Electromagnetic retardation, EM retardation, and theory of relativity. However, this book is not about supporting the theory of relativity, it's about destroying the theory of relativity. Everything that Einstein fed us was the reification that the universe is not electrical, but that space and time acted on things, warped things. This is not the case. The reason that light bent around the sun, as we observed in the famous experiment from decades ago, had nothing to do with curved space and time. That's an absurdity. That's like saying unicorns or leprechauns caused something to happen. It's an absurdity. It's an absurdity. What happened was the EM retardation of that light striking the edge of, say the Earth is over here, this is the sun, the light striking the edge of this point of dielectric acceleration, or what we call the gravitational acceleration of the sun, and is warping, bending the light. But it has nothing, this is simply an electrical phenomena. It has nothing to do with space and time. This book is so full of math it will make your head spin. Proof after proof after proof that relativity is absolute BS. 2 doctorate degrees. This guy wrote many books. I wished he were still alive. He did not make this discovery that I showed you over the past 10 minutes or so. But the premise for it is essentially the same. We're talking about the universe being purely electrical. Space and time are not things which act upon things. If you think they are, then you're of the same foolish mindset that leprechauns and unicorns and angels and fairies are influencing humanity. And of course, I'm sure there's many idiots out there that believe that nonsense, but that's a point for another discussion, of course, isn't it? So you're the first person on Earth to see this. I showed you, at a scale of 1 mile per hour or less, red shift and blue shift, using my buddy's invention, the ferrocell, and a simple cylindrical magnet. I showed it to you. There's no denying it. There's no refuting it. If you want to reproduce it yourself, go ahead and reproduce it yourself. But this simplex macro experiment, which I've done many times, but this is the first time I've ever shown it in a video, proves that general relativity and quantum mechanics notion that space and time are that which play a part and parcel in the math or the cosmic mechanics of redshift and blue shift and stellar and galactic movements is absolute BS. The universe and Mother Nature is electrical. It is only electrical. Space and time are not entities which do anything. I'll tell you what they are. They are measures and magnitudes. They are the slide rules which define the nature of existence and the motions between masses. They are nothing other than tape measures. And as we both know, tape measures do not build houses. Okay? That's all time and space are. They're measures and magnitudes of phenomena and their motion. It is how human stupidity and humankind have defined and reified the nature of existence and the motion of bodies. The ancient Greek Platonists knew this, and they wrote about this extensively. The ancient Indians knew this and wrote about this extensively. Plotinus knew it, Pythagoras knew it, Plato knew it, Demasius, Numenius, Sri Sankaracharya of Advaita Vedanta, Rigveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda. All these people knew the definition of space and time. They knew what it was and what it was not. Us, with our modern inventions and our technology, we think we know, but we don't know. Thanks to the foolishness and the insanity of Albert Einstein and the quacks that have fallen into the cult, the religion of particle physics is strictly ancient Greek atomism that's rehashed. We have a false picture of the universe. I can tell you right now that Mother Nature is not a cross-eyed chick with a calculator, a slide rule, glasses. She's like a naked, hairy armpit chick wearing like a hemp loincloth, frolicking with dirty feet through the woods. Cosmic mechanics do not work according to the premise and the insanities, the rabid mental machinations and pathetic absurdities of quantum mechanics and general relativity. Math is the science of humans counting and measuring things, okay? Mother Nature does not do math. She does not have a slide rule or a calculator. Everything in the universe is force and motion and inertia and acceleration, centrifugal divergence, centripetal convergence, relative motion. There's not a single straight line in the universe. Everything is curvilinear. Not a single straight line in the universe. This is the curvilinear hypertrochoid that you see underneath the ferrocell. Magnetism in its true and naked form. No one has ever seen magnetism. I predicted this formation perfectly before I ever even discovered this device existed. And I was proven right by this device. So thanks to my buddy for inventing it. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. If you like this video, you can drop me a buck or two. Tell me to jump off a cliff, but you have seen it here first. Okay? Bye.